my people. Happy Tuesday, Christina's favorite day of the week. Welcome back to another Love Shouldn't Hurt. Last week, we had an amazing week. We started our comeback after being gone for the entire summer with an uplifting Tuesday. So I hope that tonight, even though our topic is a little will be very uplifting because even though we continue to live in the cycle of just the triggers from our past and maybe reliving some of those traumas, we still can continue to be positive, productive individuals. And that is what I want you guys to always know, that you can go through so many different storms, but as long as you're strong enough to get through them, you can absolutely have an amazing life. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Happy Tuesday. Before we get into tonight's topic, I'm going to remind you, as we always do, the little number that's going across the bottom of the screen. If you or someone you know is dealing with any form of domestic violence, whether it's a friend, a foe, a family member, a coworker, whoever it is, it takes 2 minutes to give them that number, 1-800-799-7233. You can reach us at loveshouldnothurt.com and we will get back to you within 24 hours. But remember, if we do not respond within the appropriate amount of time, seek help at the National Domestic Violence Hotline or dial 911. Tonight, we are talking about one day I just changed. What do we mean by that? Well, everyone goes into this world, especially as little girls and little boys. We think we're going to grow up and have these amazing lives. We're going to grow up and we're going to have the white picket fence. We're going to have this perfect family and it's going to be amazing, right? That's the thoughts we have. And then one day, out of the blue, life changes. And we're in a circumstance, in a situation that many say, I'll never deal with, but they do. So one day our lives change. But what happens? We take that trauma with us. Sometimes we have moved on and triggers are not apparent in our life. But for most of people who have gone through domestic violence or any form of abuse, there are often triggers that we carry with us into our adulthood. Now, they do not hinder us. We are still amazing people, but they're triggers. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about the little things that may or may not trigger us. So I tonight have a beautiful co-host. She is part of our Love Should Not Hurt family. We are only a month away from our 4-year anniversary. I get chills. I'm so excited because 4 years ago, October 2018, we started our mission and we continue to do so. Marilyn was there that day to make us all look beautiful for our documentary. And since that day, she has become a huge part of Love Shouldn't Hurt. She's been on our show several times. And tonight she's back to be my co-host and lead us through this amazing topic. So I'm going to welcome Marilyn Del Valle. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, beautiful. How are you tonight?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
I am good. I feel uplifted, refreshed. You weren't here last week, but I got a lot of new things going on in my life. So I feel amazing right now.
Awesome, awesome. That's good to hear. It's always good to feel great,
That's
there's new
right.
things happening in life is always a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, I took some time off. We took some rest from the show.
Yeah.
We took some self-care time. We took some time to start planning things for the new year, celebrating our 4-year anniversary is coming up. So we took some time to lay back, to organize, but we're ready to go. So tonight's topic is one that people don't like talking about, right? We like to act like I'm healed, I'm great, I'm perfect. Nothing will ever happen again. But the reality is, if you've lived through any form of trauma, whether it's domestic violence, sexual abuse, whatever the case may be, oftentimes we carry that with us. And not in ways
Yeah.
that we actually realize, right? We go on with life and we think we're okay, and then someone slams the door and we're like, it's not things that we think of. So before I get into questions and talking, tell me a little bit how your summer went. Tell me how you're feeling to be back tonight. Tell us about Marilyn.
Well, the summer went really fast, and I'm sure a lot of people can attest to this as well. It
Yeah,
always goes so fast. I
it's
don't
too
understand
fast.
why. I am a summer girl. I'm telling you, I should have been living on an island somewhere because I hate the cold.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. Every year I always try to take my kids on a vacation. So we
Mhm.
were grateful and blessed to go on a cruise.
Ooh.
That's usually our yearly thing that we do.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, when pandemic happened, that
Yeah.
stopped. So I was able to do that with them and just go to the beach here and there. Took a couple Florida trips because, I love my Florida.
I saw.
Uh, we went to Virginia Beach, so we did
Mhm.
a couple things. It was a lot of fun,
Yeah.
especially because when they're off in the summer, like I try to make the best of it for them because I get it. You're all year, you're in school. We're all working, we're all grinding, and summer comes is like, okay, mom, what are we doing? So yeah, that's basically my summer. Like I said, it went so fast. And here we are, and I'm excited to be back tonight. I love when you come and invite me because I don't know, I get this adrenaline rush through my body, like, oh, I'm
Woo!
going live.
I am glad because sometimes I ask people and they're like, I'm scared. I'm like, it's like having a regular conversation with me. There's just people watching, but we're gonna act like they're not
Yes.
here. Just if it makes you nervous, just act like nobody's watching, even though they are. So I'm
I'm good.
excited
I'm not
to.
nervous.
Good. I'm excited to have you. Hello, Mimi Martinez. I see you. Good evening. We appreciate our audience. So if you are watching, I see the numbers. Say hello to us. We will acknowledge and greet you. We enjoy talking to you. So tonight we're talking about triggers, right? We're talking about things that we didn't realize we carried with us. One day, life just they just change. You get into relationships and you think you're good, and then your partner comes in the house and they walk into the room while you're getting dressed and you don't know they're coming and you're like, hey, and they're like, what is wrong with you? And then you have moments when you're on the sofa and something falls on the floor and you're like, oh my God. And people are like, what is wrong with you? We don't realize the triggers that we take with us. I don't know what your experience has been like, but as in every show, I'm going to be super transparent because that is me. I like letting people know that I'm just as bothered and crazy like everybody else. And I go through it. And I think that it was super important that we had this conversation tonight because everything is so recently in my mind. A
Right.
recent breakup, recent going through this, and the last arguments that I can remember having in that breakup, were surrounded around this topic. A lot of the conversation was, oh my God, your trauma is going to ruin every relationship you're in. And I was very, very like standoffish. Like, how dare you? You're calling me a victim. How dare you? And
Right.
then the more I thought about it, I agreed and I don't agree. And I agree in the retrospect that if I'm not open with my new partner about my past, it may damage my new relationships, right? Because, hello, Olga, how are you? Because if they don't know she's dealt with something, when these triggers come up, they're going to have absolutely no idea what to do with me. So,
Exactly. Right.
towards the end of that relationship, there was a lot of just me feeling bad for myself, me feeling guilty for myself, or just feeling myself like I was the victim, with a lot of situations. Even when I wasn't the victim in the circumstance, I felt like it because that was my mode. Whenever
Right.
you're going through something, your mode is to just go to what you're used to, right? What you're complacent with. I was used to and comfortable with always being the victim, always being the one that needed the help, right? Because then that means there are going to be people there to help you. There are going to be people to get you through. And at the end of that relationship, I realized there were moments that I was like, I am at fault for some of these things as well. But he doesn't know everything about me. So he cannot understand why I am the way I am. And in that retrospect, I feel like it was my fault. Um,
Right.
we had situations that just were difficult because I had so many triggers. So a lot of the things that he did or the conversations that we had, I was very defensive. And I always was like, you don't understand. You don't understand. And then now that I think back on it, I'm like, maybe if he did understand, he would know why I react this way, why I respond to certain things the way that they do. Do you feel like you've been through that in your relationship since then?
Um, Not so much, but I can say that what really triggers me, um, and it's not that it happens with us, but like
Right.
if I hear like my son and my daughter when they get into these games, they start yelling,
Yeah.
and I like jump like right away, like what the hell, like what's going on? You know what I mean? Sometimes he can be arguing with her over a game or something, and it's just like I start getting panicked. Like, what are you guys doing? Stop arguing. Like, this is not necessary. It's just a game, you know. I can't see also, like, when it comes to seeing like somebody argue in a store or somebody actually physically, I get sick to my stomach, literally. Um, and thank goodness, like in my relationship now, I don't have any of like, I'm not experienced any of that, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because from the very beginning, I did have a talk with him about everything.
Good.
So I felt like you said it was important to put that out there because that was my fear. I didn't want my trauma to, you know, kind of interfere with my
Yeah.
relationship with him. Like I didn't want to be stand guard. It's like, like, oh, you're over there, I'm over here. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have that, but I'm not saying it's not there because like I said, I do experience these other things. I can't, like I said, I can't see people arguing. I can't, like, I get really, really sick to my core. Like, I'm like, what is going on with me? Like sometimes, like, even if I'm watching a movie, like, and it's like an abuse or something with a man hitting a woman, I like jump and my boyfriend be like, are you okay? Like, you
Yeah.
good? And I'm like, yeah, but so yeah, those are some kind of the things that kind of trigger me. But like I said, with him, I don't have that issue, thank goodness.
Well, and that's a blessing, right, in itself, because we go into new relationships and we're
Right,
not anticipating these relationships to be negative. We're not
right,
anticipating them to trigger us in any way, right? Because
right,
we think we're going into a new situation, a different circumstance, things are going to be great. And sometimes they are. And there's two sides to that coin because sometimes they are and sometimes they are not. So sometimes the people are just as bad. So the things that they do trigger memories of, wait a minute, I'm about to go through what I just went through
right.
all over again. I can tell by the way you're talking to me. I can tell by your responses. I'm about to go through the same mess. And that's my
Yes,
decision to stay or go. Then we can be in situations like yours where you wanted to make sure you protected that early
right,
on because you will not have these issues. He is a really good guy. You feel truly loved, you feel important and respected. So those triggers are those things that may make you want to argue or make you standoffish may at that point affect the good relationships, right?
right,
So I have, unfortunately, I have trauma from many different circumstances, right? So I've been a victim of sexual abuse as long as being a victim of domestic violence, you know? So, I have a childhood of being molested and I have, my adulthood of going through domestic violence. So there's a lot of issues that I faced that I had to go to therapy for, a lot of things that I had to walk through so that I can be
yeah,
a better me, right? But
right,
that didn't change the circumstances of what triggered me. So I, for example, like I said, I'm so transparent. I had moments within my previous relationship where he wanted to play. He was very playful and he would grab my feet. I cannot have someone touch my feet at all. Whether I'm in the bed, whether I'm sitting on the sofa, I cannot have people touch my feet because it triggers me. It
right,
reminds me of the sexual abuse. It reminds me of how the person pulled on me. It reminds me of how I was touched at that time. So I cannot have my feet touched. And it was so weird to that person. They were like, why can't I touch you? What is wrong with you? And it took years because he wasn't aware of my previous abuse. It took years for me to finally be able to say, oh my goodness, this is why I do this. People are often like, you have to be so transparent, but we also don't know how they're going to respond to that transparency. We don't know if they're going to be like, okay, you have too many issues for me to want to be here. Hello, Dolly. How are you? Go ahead,
on
Madeline.
that thought before I forget, because I feel like old age be kicking in. um so I'm going to be transparent. So in my previous, relationship, one thing that was always an issue, but it led to, because of a lot of cheating that happened, I no longer was intimate with this person anymore. So I didn't want to be intimate. So a lot of argument occurred because of that,
Yeah.
right? So in my new relationship, you know, I was very transparent and said, listen, I don't want you to be upset with me if the time is just not right, because we go through hormonal changes in our
Yeah,
body sometimes. And it's like,
absolutely.
if you don't feel like it, you don't feel like it, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, I don't want you to argue with. He was like, wait a second, like, you don't have to worry about that. He's just like, listen, when the time it happens, it happens. That's it. Like, I'm not gonna be there to, because when I tell you, I've gotten mugged, because I've gotten like so many. I don't even want to get into details with it, but it got so bad because I
Yeah,
didn't want to be intimate in my past relationship, that a lot of that, like I said, a lot of arguments happened because of that. And that was like
yeah,
one of the triggers, like, please don't trigger that, because I'm going to go crazy, you know?
yeah.
But thank goodness, like I said, that's something that I don't have to worry about.
Right. Are there any words that bother you?
Oh, I've been called a lot of names in the book.
Are there
Um,
words that you've been called? Let me change that. Are there words that you were called in your abusive relationship that now maybe your kids will call you? I'll give you an example. During my abusive time, I was constantly called crazy. So I cannot, and anybody that knows me can attest, I cannot have someone call me crazy, even if it's in a joke.
right.
My daughter has moments where she'll be like, "Oh, mom, you're crazy," and then my entire demeanor changes. Like, what'd you say? And she knows, and quickly she's like, "I'm sorry, I use that word. I'm sorry, I use that word." In my previous relationship, that was some of the moments that were the worst for us, because we could be in the middle of an argument and he would use the word crazy and I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
And he would always be like, "What is wrong with you? We were arguing." And I'm like, "I cannot be called crazy. You cannot call me crazy. If you call me crazy, I will revert," because I was called crazy throughout my entire time of abuse,
Yeah.
because he was
Right.
trying to put into my mind that I was crazy. So whenever I would say, "Oh, you're doing this," or "You're hurting me in this way," he'd be like, "You're crazy. You're making that up. It's all in your head." So I took that with me. So those are trigger words for me. If you call me crazy, even if we're joking, my entire demeanor changes, because I cannot be called crazy. That is a huge trigger for me.
Yeah. That one definitely, it is a trigger word for me as well, because Lord knows I was called that, like, always, "Oh, you crazy, you don't know what you're talking about," or, but the other one for me, and it's like, even if my friends was to call me that, not so much, but it still kind of like gives me like a little,
Ugh.
yeah, bitch. I don't know. That word is like, like sometimes they're like, "Oh, you're my bitch," or whatever. But okay, but it's like, if I'm called that, like, I go crazy too, because that's very disrespectful to be
Mhm.
calling your woman, a bitch, you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
um, or any word that is gonna offend you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that, to me, those two words, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because crazy, yeah, definitely. Or this was another one, psycho. That word, better not call me I'm
People throw
psycho.
it
Oh,
around
the
like,
other one too. Look,
"I
they're all
got you on a
coming now.
roll."
They're all coming to my head now, that I'm bipolar. I hate that, because bipolar, that's a disorder. That's real. That's mental health. And I don't like for you to have to play around with that word with me. Like, that's very offensive. So those were some of the definitely trigger words, that if I'm called that now by my boyfriend, by God forbid, or by anyone, yeah, I go crazy.
Yeah. I
Triggers
think
me.
that there's so many things that to some who are watching may seem minor, but they don't realize that when you've gone through forms of domestic violence, they're not minor. We have
Yeah.
to understand. I think it also goes with people understanding the different levels of domestic violence. Many people
Mhm.
think that, and we've talked about this so many times. We've been doing this show for 3 years now, and some people think that domestic violence is just if someone hits you, right? They're just like,
Right.
"Oh, well, I'm in this relationship and it's not great, but he doesn't hit me. She
Mhm.
doesn't smack me. She doesn't hit me. So I'm not in a domestic violence relationship." And oftentimes I have to remind people there are more than one form of domestic
Absolutely.
violence.
Yep.
There are absolutely mental abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse. And
Mhm.
people don't realize that. So, in the instance of people saying, "Oh, you're crazy," and people say, "Oh, that's minor," it's not, because during your time of abuse, Those are the things that are allowing folks to take control over you.
Right.
I'm not crazy. I have no mental, at least I don't know. I've never been told I have any mental disorder. I
Right.
don't know. But in the instance of someone constantly drilling in your brain that you're crazy, that you're crazy, that you're crazy, that is a way of controlling me. Because every time he said that, it would make me back off. I would stop defending myself because in my mind, I'd think, am I crazy?
Yep.
Is something wrong with me? Is like something going on and I don't realize it? So calling someone those things really is like you have to think about it, especially, and that's just a part of everyday life, like reminding our kids, watch how you speak to people, watch the words that you use because of those things. There's so many triggers for anyone. I tell my daughter sometimes, I even tell my students when I was teaching, there may be words that you perceive to be funny and no big deal, but it depends on the perception of the person who's receiving it. You have no idea what they're going to receive. Our executive producer put in the comment, audience, what words or word triggers you? So if you are watching and you are part of the audience, please do let us know what words are trigger words for you. What is something that just takes you there? Even if you didn't go through domestic violence, what are trigger words for you? We have a video. We're going to play that video before we get to the 30 mark, and we'll come back and talk about that video.
Sometimes you don't need closure. You just have to accept that you gave it your all and it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Stop looking for an apology from the person that did you wrong.
That was cute.
What'd you take from that video? I'm in my mind right now. What'd you take from that video?
Basically, like, don't take fault for what you went through. You know, don't expect anything from anyone. Like you said, an apology. That's what kind of comes to my mind. Like, just you're gonna, you went through it, but don't blame yourself for it. Don't make yourself feel guilty because you went through something that you honestly in your life, like you said in the beginning of the show, that you thought you would never go through. So that's what I take from that video.
Yeah. So it coincides with this conversation, right? Because for me, I spent various times after my first abuser asking myself, what did I do? Why won't he say sorry to me? Why won't he acknowledge what he did for me? So when I went into my next relationship, if we had minor arguments or if we had things that just weren't major, I was still thinking of that. Like, I want to get a sorry from you. I never got my sorry from the past. Yeah. I want to get that. And it's like, what we're saying, one day I changed. I changed that one day. So there's so many things I'm taking with me because that one day, it triggered a lifetime of change. I had this conversation with someone the other day, and we were talking about what did I feel the first day that I was abused? Do I remember it? And I was like, I remember it like it just happened yesterday. I remember the first time that plate went upside my face. And I sat on that floor and I thought to myself, did that just really happen? Did he really just hit me? And I thought about it over and over again. And it was like after going through that was my first time of a real long relationship. I thought to myself when I went into the next relationship, thinking this is what life, I guess, should be like. I need to watch what I say because I'm going to get smacked. I wasn't well educated in relationships. I didn't know what I really should be treated like. But then I took all of that with me. So anytime I made something that the next person didn't like, I was like, I'm sorry. And, and they'd be like, why are you so upset? Like, you're fine. And I'm like, you sure? Like, I'll make you something different. We'll change. And it was like, why are you tripping right now? Like, nothing is wrong. But I didn't know any better. So I brought that with me. For me, that was what relationships were supposed to be like. And if you didn't do what you were supposed to, it happens. Ileana Acevedo put something up. It says, don't wait for an apology or acknowledgement of your pain. Feel it. Let it leave you. Move on. Quote from, I don't know how to say that, Nawa Zebian. I hope I said that right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like I went into every next relationship looking for that apology, looking for that person who hurt me, because let's be honest, that was in the same conversation. Would you, go into every relationship feeling like it was the same as the past. And every relationship I went into after that first time, I was looking for answers from the first one. And I brought it with me. Like tonight's show is all about what did we bring with us? I brought it with me. Every
Right.
relationship I went through, when something bad would happen, I brought that with me. In a way, I feel like, in a sense, that made me feel like some of the issues that I did have in my relationships after were my fault as well. There's always two people to tangle, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And I feel like a lot of them were because I never let them go. I didn't let the pain from those relationships go. I was still waiting for apologies and understanding from that relationship. So in my new relationship, I was trying to understand what was he like, and am I going to get an apology if it doesn't work out? And then when the next person cheated on me, it was like, well, why did he cheat on me? This person did, that person did. And since I brought it with me, I thought I must be the problem. I got to be the problem because my first relationship it happened, and my second relationship it happened, and then in my next relationship it happened. I'm the issue. What do I need to fix? What's wrong with me? Chrissy's the one that's broken. And
Right.
I don't know about you, and I don't know how. I know that yours was almost during the time, right? Almost 4 years ago, because that's when we
Yeah.
shot our documentary, and that's when you
Yep.
walked away, which I'm so proud of you for. But you walked away in that time. So it's been 4 years for you. And I don't know
Yes.
if you dated in between him and the person that you're with now. But I do know that in the next relationships, there are things that we have brought with us. Did you date after him, or is the relationship that I love that you're in now, was it like the first one that you were in?
Yeah, but then again, it was like, this to me is like real relationship, if that makes sense. Like this is just more like, you know what, this is where I want to be. Sometimes you're like trying to like fishing, like okay, who's next? But again, like I didn't have those. Well, no, I did. And mostly it was the whole like cheating. Like I saw every person as a cheater.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I did. I'm not gonna lie. I sit here, that's how I saw guys. Like, oh, he's a cheater. He's a cheater. You know what I mean? Um, and that was another thing that I had mentioned at the beginning of our relationship. I was like, listen, like, when it comes to cheating, I don't play them games. Like, I'm not giving nobody another chance. Like, I've been through this way too many times, and I'm not putting myself through that again. You have to put a stop to it. It's like a cycle, like you forgave them. Oh, they deserve another chance. And then again, it happens. And then it happens again. And then it happens again. And then just like what you said, I started questioning myself. Okay, Marilyn, what's going on with you? Like, and yeah, so I did take that on with me, the whole cheating thing. Like that really, really has traumatized me. It really has, because if to me, I feel like in a relationship, if there's no trust and there's no loyalty, there's no relationship. That's
Right.
just my opinion. There's no relationship. Um, and of course, communication is key. If
Mhm.
something's bothering you, let me know. You
Yeah.
know, um, don't. I went this past weekend to Atlantic City to see Steve Trevino. I don't know if you know him. He's a
Yeah.
comedian. I freaking love him. He's hilarious. So my first comedy show, with him, and one of the things that stuck out at me with Steve, what Steve said was, a lot of times we use what is called wife language,
Mhm.
and meaning that we don't be direct sometimes because we don't want that other person to feel some type of way, so we don't know how to say directly, so we beat around the bush with it. He was like, no, just tell me straight up, like let it out. That's what we have to do in our relationship. We can't just, because sometimes they're not interpreting the way we want them to interpret.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but yeah, that for me, like the whole cheating thing, and of course, like you said, mentally, physically, financially, all that I went through, all of
Yeah.
it,
Hmm. Absolutely.
and you really do start thinking like, am I the problem? Why is it getting so upset about this? Like, it's normal. We're humans. That happens. Or Yeah. And I don't even, girl, I think I could write a book and I think it'll be a #1 hit.
I think
Yeah.
we all can write a book about the stuff we've been through. I do.
Yes.
But anyway, we're at the 30 mark. Time flies when you're having fun. Just a
Yes.
reminder to everyone watching, that little number crawling across the screen, 1-800-799-7233. If you or someone you know is dealing with any form of domestic violence, whether it's a friend, even a foe, you can reach us at loveshouldnothurt.com as well. So before I get into the question, I see it. I can touche the cheating thing. I have been in a room full of men after years of just cheating, right? And people say, oh, cheating is not a part of domestic violence. Do you know men cheat? That's a part of life. But they don't realize that that also leads to trust issues and issues
Yes.
with just worrying about yourself and hindering us in ways that, I mean, I have dealt with this so much that I have gone to the point where I have wanted to change what I look like so that I could physically feel like I look better, because I began to compare myself to all the women he was cheating on me with.
Wow.
This one's taller. I wish I was taller, so my heels were like this big. This one is thinner, so I would stop eating food. I would literally starve myself to try to
Wow.
lose weight because she's skinny. I want to be skinny. I'm never going to be skinny. I am a voluptuous Latina. I have always had a huge butt, big hips. I'm never going to be skinny. But I would work on literally trying to form myself into the women that he was dating, because
Right.
the cheating happened so much. I started to see a pattern in the women he was cheating with. And I was like, I don't fit any of those stereotypes. I need to start looking like them. Christy, you need to start starving yourself. Stop eating. Go to the gym 3-4 times a day. And I overworked myself because I thought that's what I needed. Then I broke up with him and I got into another relationship. And then he started to cheat. So I went back. I'm going to take diet pills. I need to lose the weight because he's cheating too. It's me. It's my body. Something's wrong with me. It was so many things. You know, I went through a phase in my life where my hair was a mess. I dyed it red. It had blonde streaks. I looked crazy. I looked like a clown. But I was trying to change what I looked like, change my image, because I thought if I did, it would keep them around. And then I went into the next relationship feeling like cheating is what men do. So I trusted no one. It's kind of like to the fact where they say that song by Rihanna, once a good girl's gone bad, she never goes back, right?
Yes.
Right?
I love that song.
I do too. I jam it in my car. But it's like we've gone through so much that these women who are amazing women, good women, bring some of that baggage with them here and some of this baggage here, that we end up being bad women. We end up being bitchy and miserable and grumpy and cheaters ourselves and doing
Right.
things that we know better. But because we've dealt with so much trauma, so much drama, and all of the craziness that we have dealt with, it changes who we are. We move on into these new relationships, and unfortunately, sometimes good people are hurt in the process, right? We find good men and they end up being hurt by us because somebody hurt us and we brought that
Yes.
trauma with us. So since that trauma came with me, I'm pushing it off to you now. So now you're a good guy, but I'm gonna cheat on you because that's what I've been through and that's what I know. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it follows us so much. There's a question there by Ray, and I don't want to ignore it. It says, what 3 words describe you before domestic violence? That's good. And what 3 words describe you today after domestic violence? I'm gonna let you answer that first.
What 3 words describe me before DV? Wow.
Uh-huh. I'm over
I
here
know. I'm
sweating.
like, hold up. I'm getting a little wow, Ray, you're putting me on the spot here.
That's what he's there for.
Great question though. You do start thinking like, wow, what, I would say I was very vulnerable. Very vulnerable indeed. Not knowing any better, and I know that's not 3 words, Ray. Don't come at me. Um, and just very naive, I guess. Just not, I guess that's not knowing any better. And weak. Very weak. Today, papi, I am a strong Latina, okay?
Get it?
strong Latina, walked away from that, not looking back. Don't take shit from nobody.
Shit.
And let's see, what could be the next one? And I'm a survivor, you know? Definitely, like, you know, and I don't want to get emotional right now, but
I cry often,
this
so please take my throne.
Man, Linda was my rock, you know. That happened to her. That really opened me up. That really opened me up. Like, I was like, Marilyn, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
So I have to say, I have to pat on my back because, you know, we all go through stuff in life, you know, and we always question, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? Oh my God, how am I going to get through this? And I have a message for you ladies. I know I have time later on, but what I want to say is don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. There is a way out. There is a way out. Anyone who's watching tonight going through something, listen, there's a way out. Do not give up on yourself at all.
Absolutely.
So I hope I answered the question, Ray.
I mean, he said 3 words, but it could be 3 statements.
Right.
Lo mismo. So I would say prior to my domestic violence, and the words absolutely are the reason why I went through it. So I was weak. I had low self-esteem, and I will use your word, very vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I'm the baby from my sisters. Both of my 2 older sisters were married early 20s, 21, 22. Both are still married now, happy marriages, 26 and 27 years they've been married. I was the baby, and in my mind, I watched my older sisters, I watched them get married, I watched them go into relationships. Straight out of college, I was like, I'm not living at home, I'm doing my thing, I'm grown now. So I went, got my own apartment, got my first car, like I was killing it. I was 22, had my car, had my own space, and I was just living my best single life. You know, I was doing for me, I was having fun, no children. But I had nothing but that. I hated what I looked like in the mirror. Hated. I thought I was fat. I thought I was ugly. My teeth were terrible. My hair was terrible. Everything about me as a person, I did not like. So when I was very weak, I allowed people to say and do whatever they wanted. So, you know,
Right.
Michael Mai has been on here before, Evelyn Ramos, and she said in a show maybe 2 years ago that I was a prime target for someone to abuse me because I didn't believe in myself at that time. I was super weak. I didn't like myself. So during that time, I was like, you know, when they say like, this was all prepared for you, all you have to do is run with it. I was literally prepared for them to abuse me. All they had to do was do it.
Right.
Because I had no self-confidence. I had no self-worth. I did not like what I saw in the mirror. And I struggled with that all through middle school, all through high school. And people who know me, and they're like, yo, you've been laughing and loud and happy and selfies forever. Guess what? That entire time I hated myself. Entire time.
Wow.
I was popular in high school. Me and my best friends say it all the time. Like we were not were popular. We were the popular kids in the school. Like senior year, I was the president of Aspira, president in college. I did everything. I led the Puerto Rican parades. I ran all of the Hispanic groups. Everybody knew our clique. If you weren't a part of our clique, you were not popular. We were it for our year, you know. And then I went to college, same thing. We ran the Hispanic Association. We did everything. You would think my self-esteem would be beautiful, wonderful. I hated me. I compared myself to everyone that walked past me. I was miserable. So when I met him, I wanted what my sisters had.
Right.
I wanted to have a marriage. I wanted to get married young and then have a family and then have kids. So I was already set up because I didn't care what he did to me at that time because I just wanted to be like my sisters. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have this life. So during that time, I was weak, vulnerable, and had a low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Who am I now? I can't even say just with that domestic violence and now this is who I am. Because after the physical abuse, I went through various years of abuse with every partner after. because not only was I ample and ready to be that person to be abused, every relationship after suffered because of the prior one. So if anybody else wanted to do their thing, they had the platform because I was prior damage. Now I'm new damage. So any relationship after I was. Who am I now? You know, anybody watching who knows me, and even you that knows me, I can honestly say that I still struggle, and everybody who knows me knows that I still struggle, not with my self-worth because I love me. I
Right.
struggle with moments of insecurity about my weight and things like that. We get older. I'm in 40s, you know, we gain weight. So I have
Yeah,
moments
me
that I'm like,
too.
"Soy gorda." But I think now I am absolutely very resilient. I will bounce through anything. You put me through something, we're going to get through that together. I am
Yeah.
absolutely strong willed and I am determined. And to me, then none of those things are physical. They're all about mental things. Like I am determined to go through whatever I go through and get through it on the other side.
That's right.
I am, you know, I was just terrified of leaving one job to go to another because I honestly, to God, was worried I couldn't do the job. And I
Right.
self doubted myself until I had somebody who's watching tell me, girl, you got this. And now I'm in the job and I'm like, I got this. I'm good. You know?
That's
So
right.
I had to fight past the little bit of doubt that I had. But
Yeah.
back then I wouldn't have. I would have stayed in my comfort zone forever and I would have let
That's
everybody
the
do
word.
whatever.
That is the word. Comfort zone. That is
Yes.
it.
We stay where
That's
we
where
are.
I was at for 20 plus years. My comfort zone. In Spanish, la costumbre.
That's right.
Y la costumbre te jode.
It does. Listen, La India says it. La costumbre es más fuerte que el amor. Because
Yeah.
listen, I was so used to that man that it didn't matter what he was putting me through. And the craziness is people are like, which man? That could be any of the men I was with. Any of them, even my most recent relationship. I was so used to the situation that it didn't matter how much you put me through. That was stronger. Knowing that someone was there, knowing that I've dealt with this person for so long, I stayed in it. But one day you snap,
Yeah.
and I snapped. And I am a totally different person now. And I've just, listen, I'm going to be 42 in 2 months.
I'm already 42.
I don't like it, I'm so beautiful. I'll be 42 in 2 months. And I think that my eyes were open. Damn.
Damn.
Thank you, Ray. My eyes opened up and my change of who I should become and need to become just happened. I
Yeah.
just said, you ain't doing this shit to me no more.
That's
I am
right.
moving on and I am a better person without you. And I made the biggest moves I needed to make so that I
That's
could
right.
be a better Chrissy. And I run this organization proud. And people sometimes are like, oh, you know, you wear that crown and you know, you think you're a better person. I do not think I'm better than anyone. My life is not perfect in any way, shape, or form. I fart like the rest of
Right.
you. Yo voy pa'l baño y cago just like everybody else. This is me. This is Christina. I go through the same things that everybody else does. Bad idea. Everybody knows I fart rays. Okay. I
Right.
go through what everybody else goes through. And I used to worry when I first started this organization about what people thought about me.
Yeah.
Are they judging my every move? They know who I'm with. They know he's cheating on me. Oh my God. I don't worry about those things anymore because I'm human and I was living through it like everyone else. There was a part of, and probably more, I'm going over a lot right now, right? But there was another bigger reason why this show is super important because for a really long time, I was very, very concerned about my perception in other people's eyes, right? I was worried about how people think about me, and it hindered me. And a huge part of staying in my most recent relationship was because of that, right? Because in my moment, towards the end, we had moments, big moments, right? Where I was triggered, I was antagonized, and I was taken to a place where that person knew certain things and they would take me there. And they would say every single thing that they could say to break me down as a person. They could call me
Oh,
fat
wow.
because they knew I hated my weight. They called me ugly. They told me that the women that they were cheating with were better than me for this reason or that reason. So they would
Wow.
take me there and then I would burst. I would lose my
Yeah.
mind because you're coming at below my belt. You know exactly what hurts me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
They know.
they would pull out their phone and they would record me when I lost my mind. And for a long time, I was terrified because I thought that person was going to show that video to people, and I was worried of the perception. And I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. And I'm telling this because I want people to know that you're going to be triggered. You're going to have moments from your past that people are going to use against you. You're going to have traumatic moments that are going to come back to you in a moment, and you're going to lose your shit. Yeah. You're going to have those moments. You are not crazy. This is a part of healing from that past. You're going to have those moments. And some of the people who are narcissists or abusers are going to take that and they're going to run with it.
Yep. Yes,
and you're going to lose your mind. But I want you to think back, and I want you to know that you have gotten through such difficult times. So when you have that bad moment or you lose your shit and people are pulling out their cell phones to record you, it is okay. Because you have those moments. I'm not fearful of those videos anymore because I know who I am as a person. I know that I have come. Thank you so much, Dorothea. I know that I've come a long way. And I know that triggers are going to happen. And I may or may not respond in the best way. But I know that I'm honest with myself. I know that I'm honest with the people who are watching, the people who support me, that I'm human and I'm going to have those moments. Those triggers are going to happen. And this is why we're talking about that tonight, because you may walk away from your abusive relationship. I did. Marilyn did. I recently walked away from a very toxic and dangerous relationship. And I thought that it was me. And I am learning now that those triggers are going to always be there. And I'm going to have moments that are traumatic and moments that are great. But that's okay. You're going to have those moments as long as you know who you are and you come out on the other side. I feel like I've come out on the other side. You know, those triggers, don't touch my feet because I was molested. Don't yell at me in a certain way because I think you're going to hit me. I've had moments, hi, Ellie, I love her. I've had moments where they couldn't hear me because I was far away. So they ended up screaming. And I literally, when they got to the room, I was sobbing. And they're like, why are you crying? And I'm like, you were screaming. I really thought you were going to charge in here and hit me.
Yeah.
And they were just like, no, I couldn't hear you and you couldn't hear me. So I was screaming so you could hear me. But I was so concerned that they were going to charge in because that's what I'm used to. I brought that with me. And I was worried, and it damaged a lot of good relationships because I couldn't let go of those triggers. And some people say, how do you fix that? Therapy is huge. Therapy is huge for releasing those things. If you were someone who doesn't believe in therapy, find yourself a good circle of women, good circle of men who are going to tell you like it is, but love on you at the same time. Who are going to help you through those moments, because seriously, you can't do it alone. And this is what Love Shouldn't Hurt is about. You cannot do it alone. We can't do it alone.
Can't.
We're going to have those moments, but whether they've gone from our memory or not, have those people who you can lean on. And that's who we try to be on this weekly show. We try to just give you information and be as transparent as we can, because there might be someone watching who's like, oh my God, me too.
Going through that. Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness. So we have another video. This is our last video. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the video. And Marilyn, I'm going to give you your spotlight for your final thought, and then we'll return.
Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? Now see, if you don't do something starting tomorrow that'll make a difference, guess what? It's going to be the same. And see, that way you can guess what the next 5 years are going to be like. Look at the last 5. Because the next 5 are going to be like the last 5 unless you, major key, tomorrow, change it all. Or change a little, or change something, or don't change. It's choice time. You can do whatever you want. But it's nice to know any day you wish you can change your whole life.
Absolutely. That's that saying that says you can't do the same thing over and over again and wait for a different reaction or response or outcome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's make that change.
Yes. Change is good, man. I tell you, change is good. And I look back 4 years ago, and I'm going to tell you, I'd be lying to you if I was to say that I could have, that I was going to walk away from that relationship. No. Why? Because I was doing the same exact thing to myself, hurting myself over and over. Like Christy said, I felt like it was normal. I felt like the pain was just, okay, another day, you know.
Mhm.
But for your own sanity, you gotta walk away. You gotta make a change for yourself. You
Yeah.
have to, you know. I look back and a lot of stories that I come across, man, because I'm like addicted to TikTok now.
Clearly,
Um,
so are we.
yeah. But it's very like inspiring and very too like emotional to see that wow, we all men and women go through this, right? And to see these things, it's like, wow, I was there once. You know, I can relate. But guess what? You took that step to walk away to make a change in your life for better, you know, and all the triggers, everything, it's gonna happen. I mean, Chrissy, I think you're right. Like, I don't think that will ever go away because we've been through it, you know. But one thing that we did was walk away, and that's what's important, you know. Um, Relationships is gonna have its ups and downs. Listen, no relationship is perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell me to right now that their relationship is perfect because listen, you're lying because there's no perfect relationship.
Yeah.
You know, yes, I'm happy in my relationship right now. You know, things happen. There's disagreement. You're not always going to agree on everything,
Mhm.
you know, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for you and your sanity, your life. And that's the only way to push through. The only way to push through is to make a change in your life so that way you can continue being who you truly are and not stuck in this thing that just keeps rotating over and over and over again.
Before
So,
we, so I'll share this before we get to our moments. I said this before, but a few months ago, it wasn't recent because we're living somewhere else and we were living there. A few months ago, I was laying in my room and it was really late, like 1 in the morning, and I was looking at TikTok because I'm addicted to TikTok now. Um, and my daughter, I thought was asleep, and she, I guess, was on TikTok too. And she sent me a TikTok. And I said this on the show before. I've said it already, so you probably remember or don't. But she sent me a TikTok about the multiverse. So if you watch any Marvel movies and things like that, they're always talking about the multiverse and things like that.
mhm.
So during the week, and this happens constantly, she can walk in the room and I don't know she's coming, and I'm like, hi, like I jump, literally, like if somebody's gonna kill me, and she's like, Mom, I'm just walked in the room and I'm like, I didn't know you were coming. So it scared me. Like, and I have people now that that's happened and they're like, okay, so before I come in, should I scream like I'm coming? Just so that you're not tripping, right? Because I get nervous. And it's a part of things that
Same.
I've been through. So I'm terrified if I don't know you're coming and you just talk to me, I will jump through the roof. That's just me. So I had did that about 4 or 5 times that week. So she sends me a video, and the next day I was like, why'd you send that? And she was like, Mom, because I see like your reactions and the way that you are now. And I feel so sorry for you. And I'm like, don't feel sorry for me, because even though I still have things that affect me from that time, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have you. If I didn't deal with that relationship, I wouldn't have you. And you're the best thing that's happened to me. She sent
Right.
me a video from TikTok, and it's a girl, and it says, I hope I don't cry. I, I hope that the multiverse does exist. Because if it does, I hope there's a multiverse. I always cry. I hope there's a multiverse and a universe somewhere that my mother's on, that she never went through any pain, even
Oh,
if it didn't include me. I'm laying in my
wow.
bed like, I don't want to be in that multiverse because I want to have you.
Right.
Everything that I dealt with and all of the pain and craziness I dealt with at that time, if I didn't deal with it, I wouldn't have her. And she's like the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yes.
So the triggers and me jumping and me not wanting to be touched and the screaming, I can't deal with it. I can live with that. I can live with that because I have her. So if you're out there and you feel
Absolutely.
like, oh my God, I wish I wouldn't have went through what I went through because of these triggers, think of whatever goodness you can get out of those situations, because I think that situation has made me a much stronger individual. It shaped who I am.
Absolutely.
It definitely did. So I hear our music. That means we are close to the end. So I'm going to get off screen,
Ah,
Marilyn, and I'm going to let you have the floor. I'll be back.
okay. Ladies and gentlemen, all I can say is taking back from those TikTok videos is that change can happen, but it starts with you. It starts with want to do for your own self, your self-worth. So any situation that you're in, whether it's mentally, physically, financially, whatever that may be, that is hindering you, that's making you feel like you're not worth anything. No, you are worth something. That is why you are here. So with that being said, walk away and do what's right for yourself and for your family. And that's all I have to say. And I hope that you guys got something out of this tonight. And anyone, I always say this on every show that I come on with Chrissy, if you guys are going through something and you really don't know who you can talk to, Chrissy is always available. You could always friend request me as well. I might not be a therapist or a counselor, but I can always be a listening ear and be that support system for you. God bless you all.
Ay, Dios, qué linda. Love me some Marilyn.
I love you too.
Girl, I'm sweating. I'm frizzy. Tengo de todo hoy. Tengo de todo. We're going to send you to the back, boo.
Okay.
And we'll be back to say goodbye. Good evening, folks. Mira, el pelo está revolcado because I'm sweating so bad right now. This light beaming on me. It's another transparent moment. Estoy sudando. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good time tonight. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation. People are always listening and they're like, how do you guys talk about this and talk about that? It is just a conversation. We have the uncomfortable conversations that people just don't want to talk about. So tonight we talked about the triggers that follow us, the triggers that we all still have. I have plenty. And they can either help us, shape us, or hinder us. So just take into account the triggers that you may have dealt with. Whether it's you're scared of a noise, whether you're scared of being in mid crowds, whatever it is, and try to take some positivity. Let's spin that. Last Tuesday, we were talking about uplifting moments. Let's try to spin that and bring some uplifting moments for everything that we've dealt with. I can say that my past and the abuse that I've been through has absolutely shaped the person that I am today. I'm not perfect, but I am 110% a better person than who I used to be. So I am grateful for my moments. I'm not grateful to be abused, but I am grateful from the lessons that I took away from that. So if you're dealing with triggers, you are not alone. If you feel like something's wrong with you because you still feel them, you're not alone. I always say therapy is not for everyone, but it is amazing. If you cannot do so, find yourself a circle of friends. Find yourself 2 or 3 friends that you know you can count on. Y relájate, vent, have those moments because you're not crazy. You just need some time. You need someone to talk to. And listen, we're always here at Love Shouldn't Hurt. Friend request me. I always accept people who are looking for information. Listen, inbox me. Tell me you need someone to talk to, and I'm absolutely here to share that moment with you. I hope you guys had a good time. Last week was amazing. This week again was amazing. And next week, we bring Amanda Peguero back. So it's going to be another amazing Finding My Voice After Abuse. Listen, yo no soy alguien que ahora me pueden hablar the way they want to because I found my voice after that abuse. Amanda Peguero, as you know, is a licensed therapist, psychologist. I'm telling you everything she is to me. Licensed therapist, psychologist, reality check, all of the above. But she comes on and she gives us a clinical view and perspective. She's going to join us again last week. She brings an energy that we know. She's a fierra dominicana. When she's on the screen, she brings so much light, and we're excited to have her back and welcome her after our long break. So join us next week at 7 p.m. with Amanda Peguero, Finding My Voice After Abuse. Folks, if you were not tuned in last week and you're wondering what is going on with the gala, reminder to those who are watching, we have moved our gala. It is officially March 18th. We have found a home for our gala, so we are so excited because the venue is absolutely beautiful. We will be putting out that information soon. We wanted to give you guys some time. The holidays are coming. Christmas is coming. We thought springtime would be better, and it's going to be an amazing event. We already have a host of amazing sponsors who have given their love to us, and we are super blessed this year. Our gala this year is going to be amazing. March 18th, 2023. But do not fret. We are still celebrating this year. So on October 3rd, we will be at the Crescent Inn celebrating our 4-year anniversary. See my hands? I'm excited. Woo, woo, woo. We are celebrating our 4-year anniversary with a networking community mixer. If you have a business that you own and you want people to hear about it, come out. We will have lots of community stakeholders, people who have their own businesses, people who work within the city. So many amazing people come out and network with us and celebrate our 4-year anniversary at the Crescent Inn, 114 Gay Street, Philadelphia, PA. It is in Manayunk. It is sponsored by the lovely Jennifer Gomez, who is the owner and operator of Jennifer Gomez Law Group. We will have music, a buffet, raffles, free entrance, and a ticket provided for drinks, 5 to 9 p.m. We know it's a Monday, but come and join us. We've already had people RSVP. Remember to go to my website, go to my Facebook page, go to my Instagram page, and just RSVP for us. It is a free event. We look to have all of our supporters there. It's going to be an amazing night. Like I said, lots of good people from the community will be there to network, share business cards, and celebrate in what we've accomplished in the past 4 years. So let's bring Marilyn back and say goodnight together. Mi amor, it's over.
I know. It
It
goes by
always
so
goes-
fast.
It does. It goes fast when you're having fun. I should keep people on here till like 2-3 hours. No, I'm joking. Thank you for joining us again, love. Thank you for
You're
your
welcome.
transparency
Anytime.
and being a part of our
Anytime.
show. Next week will be great. We'll have Amanda back. So we will see you all. Thank you, Marilyn, for being here. Good night, everyone. See you next
Good
Tuesday.
night. See you guys.